Let's flash back to 2004. It's either Christmas or your birthday and you just got Sony PSP. Or go back to the Nintendo DS, Game Boy Advance, that you're sitting on your couch and you're having a good time with that device, but you can also take this device in the car or outside. And you're gaming on this portable device and you're like, man, what if this had the same power as my device that's hooked up to my TV, my console? Fast forward to today and we now have these portable PC gaming devices, which is pretty crazy. This is the ROG Ally, or ROG Ally, or Republic of Gamers Ally. So I'm a little late to the game. This came out last year around this time. This is basically a portable PC. Let's pretend that you have a laptop and they stripped out the keyboard and the trackpad and instead put sticks and game buttons on the side. And now you have this device here. It's a 7-inch IPS display, 1080p at 120 hertz. That's right, 120 hertz, 100 frame per second gaming if it can handle it. This is also sporting an AMD Z1 processor, has Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, an SD card slot, and headphone jack. It also has a Touch ID or a fingerprint reader right at the power button here too. So let's get down to the actual question. Is this a good gaming system? Is it worth spending the money to get one of these? Does it stack up to having a console in your hand? I'm gonna say yes to all that. Yes. This is a dope system. Let's go over what I like about it. All right, so I'm gonna go over the pros and the cons, right? So some pros. It's very comfortable. The sticks and the triggers and the buttons, everything feels so comfortable. It feels similar to a Xbox controller, like the original Xbox with the buttons, but like the comfortability of the Xbox 360 mixed with a little bit of DualSense. And the reason I say that is because you have these grips back here too. I actually have a case on here, let me take it off. Yeah, this is it by itself here. But you still have those grips on the back here, and you also have the buttons here are nice and comfortable. I've been gaming on this thing for a lot of hours, and I can say that it has a great comfortability to the point where I'm not, like my fingers aren't cramped up or anything like that. Like my position anywhere that I sit, it's a comfortable gaming position any type of way. When it gets competitive, I do kind of lean in a little bit more, but other than that, nice and comfy. The sound in here is amazing. Once you crank it up like to about 50%, and that's pretty much all you need, it sounds like, it doesn't sound like it's coming from here. It sounds like it's in your ear, almost like you're wearing headphones. It can get pretty tinny because they are small speakers, but they sound amazing to the point where you feel like you're kind of in the screen itself, if that makes sense. If you have one, you know what I'm talking about. Another pro here for me is that this is running Windows. So that is a Windows desktop right there. And everything that's going on is run by Windows. So this is similar to the Steam Deck, right? But the Steam Deck, it only runs Steam games and it has a Steam UI to it. There is a way to get Windows on that device, but you have to go through some steps in order to get there, where this is just full on Windows. So the pro about that also is that you can download Steam games, Xbox games, EA games, Epic games, all the different games that you can get on a regular PC, you can get on this, as opposed to being stuck on just Steam, which obviously you can get Steam on here too. Performance. So I didn't expect this to be this good. I expected it to need to take the settings down a lot and possibly like go on low quality for the settings. But this thing is chewing up a good amount of quality when it comes to adjusting the settings in any of these games. So far, I've tried a lot of remakes from PS3, Xbox 360 games, like Burnout Paradise, Sonic Generations, Metal Gear Revengeance. And those games are optimized for a PC, so they do run nicely on a PC. But the ROG Ally really performed well when it came to adjusting the settings on a higher end than the lower end. So I was able to crank up things like reflections and motion blur in here more than I thought I would. Some other games I played on here is Hi-Fi Rush. I just started playing that one. That one looks like it takes, even though it's 2D, it looks like it takes a lot of power to run that smoothly, but it runs at a nice 90 frames per second, I guess sometimes, at the, let's say, mid to high level preset of graphics. That's cool for me, especially with something that's such a reactionary, you have to be very reactionary in that game. To have that many frames per second, is key. And that's one thing I'm not getting on my console or my current PC now, because my monitors aren't 120 hertz and my TV is definitely not 120 hertz. So to get that speed on this small device is dope. And it's a different gaming experience altogether. I tried Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk does require some tweaking of the settings when it comes to performance, but it does run. It's not gonna be the prettiest version of the game, but it does run on the Ally natively. Which brings me to my next pro about this, is that ROG, Republic of Gamers, they have a website where you can type in one of the games that you want to play, and based on if they have that available, they'll give you the settings of which to put for the ROG Ally for that game. So for example, if I'm playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, I can adjust. They have a section in that website for Modern Warfare 2 settings for the ROG Ally, which you can go in and then customize it based on their recommendations. This way you're not spending time monitoring your frame rates, you're more just focused on gaming. It's a lot of pros, man. As you can see, I'm loving this thing. All right, this could be a con to some people, but I mean, not for me so much, but it only comes with 512 gigabytes of storage. 1 terabyte would have been nice, but you know, just delete whatever you're not playing and then install what you are and you're all set. And seeing that it is a PC, you can like attach dongles and hard drives to this thing and then run it off of there. So that's a possibility too. Another con would be battery life. I mean, that's everybody's con on this thing, is that the battery is just not great. And that's just because it's doing a lot, right? 120 frames per second, 1080p, and then also running these high intensive games. It does have different settings, like it has a turbo mode where you can turn that on and off. It does have different modes. It has a silent mode, which is 10 watts, 15 watts for performance, and then turbo mode for 25 watts. And that gives you just more power or less power depending on what you're playing at the time. But it will chew up your battery if you're going on turbo, obviously. But yeah, if you're planning on taking this on a long trip or anything like that, you definitely want to have like power bricks, or possibly get a case that has charging with it, because you're only going to get about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on what game you're playing. Like if I'm playing Call of Duty on turbo, I can probably expect like an hour and a half until the battery is like, all right, I'm clocking out. But if I'm playing Sonic Adventure 2, a Dreamcast game, PS2 game if anything, then that might take, I could probably get 3 hours out of that because it's not so graphic intensive. So depending on your play style, depending on the games you play, you can expect from 1.5 to, let's say, 3.5 hours of gameplay on this thing before you have to charge it. Other than those small cons, they're small cons for me. I'm not out and about like that to the point where I need to take this everywhere. And when I am gaming with this, I'm like on the couch next to a charger, wherever it is, like in different rooms of the house. Or if I go over somewhere else where I'm like kind of bored, I'm not usually sitting there for hours on end. So if a quick 1 hour gaming session is all I get, then that's all I really need. I've been playing it a lot. I haven't touched my PS5 here for a while, and I was in the middle of playing Final Fantasy VII, and this thing just kind of distracted the mess out of me, just because going back to that childhood that I mentioned of having a PSP or a Game Boy, and you're just like in different areas of your house and you're in your small little personal bubble playing whatever you're playing, right? Like there's no big TV to display what you're playing, and there's not people distracting you from like moving in front of the TV. It's not like this disconnect of you and the distance of the TV. It's just you and this device here. And I think that's what I'm getting out of this. That's making me stay gaming here instead of going to my TV and like being in one spot and doing things like that. So it's a nostalgia trip, definitely. That's like my personal review as far as how it makes me feel. You feel me? So here's another pro. If you think of this like a Switch, right? If you have these games downloaded and purchased, and you also have a PC, you can play this and it'll sync your saves across the devices. So if I'm playing Hi-Fi Rush on my ROG Ally and then I go to my PC and play Hi-Fi Rush, the save file is gonna be synced between the two, so I can pick up right where I left off on my PC. Once I'm done there, I can go back to my ROG Ally and vice versa. And that's the one thing these consoles don't have, with the being able to pick up and go wherever you need to with your gaming console. Only one that does is the Switch. Which, by the way, you can also, if you have a dongle for HDMI, you can take this and pop it into your TV so you can game this way. With some controllers, you can Bluetooth some controllers up to here, and you can have a gaming experience that way too. It's still gonna push out 1080p, so you're not getting 4K gaming, obviously, but actually you probably can get 4K. Probably won't be the best performance, but You might be able to get 4K as long, because it's a PC at the end of the day. This is still a PC. There's not a lot of restrictions when it comes to this, which is another pro. There's no restrictions because you are on a PC. This is not locked by any ROG Ally nonsense that stops you from doing what you need to do. You can customize this top to bottom. Like, that's what's the biggest pro for me out of this thing. Like, I can do whatever I want with this. All right, so price, there's two different ROG Allies. There's the Z1 Extreme and then the Z1. The Z1 Extreme obviously gets you more power for what you need. So if you want more power, you have the Z1. The Z1 starts out at $699. It is on sale right now for $100 off at the time of this video. The Z1 Extreme is $700, and the regular Z1, which is a little bit less performance, but still does its job, that one's $500. This is the Z1 Extreme, and that price is hefty, but again, this came out a year ago, so I was able to find an open box for this and got at least like $200 off. So yeah, that was probably the only reason I got this in the first place, because I wasn't trying to spend that money, you know what I'm saying? Unless, you know, ROG sponsors your boy later on in future videos. Let's manifest that. Let's get sponsorships, you feel me? But that was my review of the ROG Ally, the ROG Ally Z1 Extreme. I've been loving this thing. I think you'll love it if you can relate to me with that whole PSP nostalgic trip, Game Boy, gaming where you are type of feel. And if you just love PC games and being able to game anywhere with good performance comparable to console and your regular PCs. This has been ROG Ally Extreme Z1, and I'll be doing more videos on this bad boy. I'm just like talking about what I'm doing on it. So stick around on the channel and follow me for more. Subscribe to me for more, and hit that bell when you need to know when I post more videos. I'm working on my outro, don't worry about it. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.